Red and blue lights flashed across my driveway as two officers cuffed the HOA president in front of the whole cul-de-sac. 6 months earlier, none of us could have imagined it would end this way, with sirens, handcuffs, and her screaming that she was in charge. My name is Mia, and I bought my little house on Willow Court because it finally felt like mine. The HOA president, Deborah Krantz, welcomed me with a fruit basket and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. 3 weeks later, I got my first violation notice. Grass, half an inch too tall. A $150 fine attached. I laughed it off, mowed the lawn, and paid it, thinking it was just an overzealous rule follower doing her job. Then came another notice. My porch flagpole was non-compliant, even though my neighbor's identical pole had stood for years. At a community meeting, I asked Deborah why the rules applied so unevenly, and her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe you should read the bylaws more carefully, sweetie," she said, and the room went uncomfortably quiet. Within a month, the fines piled up to nearly $1,000, and a letter arrived mentioning a lien on my home. My hands shook reading the word, foreclosure, printed in bold, threatening the roof over my head over paint chips and grass clippings. That night I started a folder, every notice, every photo, every email, because something about this felt deliberately cruel. Twist 1. I found an old community newsletter photo showing Deborah's own lawn overgrown the exact week she'd find mine. Selective enforcement wasn't an accident. It was a weapon, and I was apparently the only target worth aiming at. I asked a neighbor, old Mr. Delgado, why nobody had challenged her before, and he just sighed, "Nobody wants the hassle, kid." But hassle or not, I wasn't going to lose my house over a 2-inch garden gnome violation. I requested the official HOA financial records, a right every homeowner technically has, and Deborah stalled for weeks. When the records finally came, half the pages were missing, and the ones left were suspiciously vague about maintenance expenses. I hired a lawyer named Priya Anand, who read my file and simply said, "This isn't enforcement. This is harassment." Priya sent a formal demand letter, and for one glorious week, the notices stopped completely. Then Deborah escalated in a way I never expected. She called the police, claiming I'd been trespassing near the clubhouse. 2 officers showed up at my door, polite but firm, asking about an incident report filed against me. Turns out Deborah had exaggerated a simple walk to my mailbox into a fabricated stalking complaint. Twist 2. While reviewing the police report, an officer mentioned this wasn't the first false trespass call from that HOA address. Apparently 3 other residents had quietly moved away after similar harassment, too tired or scared to fight back. I wasn't leaving, and I definitely wasn't backing down. Not anymore, not with a folder this thick. Priya subpoenaed the HOA's bank statements as part of our harassment countersuit, and the numbers told their own story. Thousands in maintenance fees had been routed to a landscaping company that, curiously, shared Deborah's last name. My chest actually clenched laughing when I realized her husband's business had been quietly billing our community for years. Small karmic comedy. The same week, Deborah's Facebook post bragged about her brand new boat, purchased suspiciously right after our dues increased. We filed everything with the county, the falsified reports, the funneled funds, the selective fines, one unified complaint. Deborah, sensing the walls closing in, tried one last desperate move to bury me before the truth surfaced. She showed up uninvited at a real police investigation into the missing HOA funds, insisting officers let her explain everything first. Twist 3. She physically blocked a detective from entering the HOA office, shouting that no one enters without board approval. That single act, caught on a neighbor's doorbell camera, became the obstruction charge that finally ended her reign. Officers who had once dismissed our complaints now watched Deborah plant herself between them and evidence of her own fraud. "Ma'am, step aside or you will be arrested." The detective warned, and Deborah, impossibly, refused to move. That's the scene that opened this story. Cuffs clicking shut on the driveway where my nightmare had begun. Neighbors who'd been too afraid to speak up finally came forward, their own quiet horror stories joining mine. The county charged Deborah with embezzlement, filing false police reports, and obstruction of an active investigation. She lost her board seat within days, and a judge later ordered her to repay every misused HOA dollar. My lien was dissolved, my fines refunded, and my violations quietly erased from every official record. Mr. Delgado brought over a pie the day the settlement letter arrived, grinning, "Guess the hassle was worth it, kid." I framed that first ridiculous grass violation notice above my desk, a reminder that quiet patience can still win.